Welcome to this video. So what's stopping you to become profitable in trading? Maybe it's because of your weak psychology, maybe, or because the market is against you. Maybe now you have the feeling that the market is against you. You enter a position and 5 minutes later you notice that the market is going against you. It's always the market against you. Maybe that's the reason. Or maybe that's because you don't have any strategy, you don't have any edge, you don't have any proven system. To be honest, the reason of your failure is here. That's one of these 6 reasons. It could be the psychology part. Maybe you let emotion control your decision. You revenge trade after losses. You're part of people experiencing what we call the FOMO, fear of missing out. Maybe. Or it could be because you don't have any strategy. You don't have any rules. You don't have any trading plan. And you change your approach consistently. You have some people who just jump from one strategy to another one, and maybe you're part of those people. So you cannot expect to become profitable if you always change the strategy. Or maybe that's because you're using lagging indicator. You trade from retail platform, you use overcomplicated system, or you don't have real-time information. That's why it's really important. Information is everything in trading, and you get the information as soon as possible to make informed decision. If you don't have access to the right information, becoming profitable and make consistent money on the financial market is quite impossible. You're not using institutional data. You're competing with people, with institutions using real data, real-time data. So maybe that's also the reason. Or that's maybe because of your risk management. You risk too much per trade. You don't use stop losses. You don't have a position sizing, and you try to get rich overnight or in a week. But you cannot become rich just like that. It takes time. It requires skills. Or maybe that's because you want quick result. You watch too many gurus on social media, you keep changing your strategy, you don't have reviewed the trade, you quit too early. This is one of the 6 reasons. But your problem was here. It's one of these 6 options. However, now the question is, what the cause? What's the cause of the fact that you're still not profitable after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years for some people? What the reason? There is always a reason, a cause. Well, the first reason, in my opinion, is YouTube. Okay, today you watch this video on YouTube, but the first thing you're going to do when you start trading is trading strategy, and you will watch all the videos. But the problem with that is like, this is basically bullshit. Why? Because those people create some attractive thumbnail just to attract people, right? And the title is something like the only trading strategy you will ever need. So if you're a beginner, you're like, oh wow, this guy shared with me his trading strategy. This is probably something that's working. Okay, now he probably backtested the strategy since, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years. So we just copy and paste the strategy and make money. But when you watch this video, you know that this is full of bullshit. You don't have any proven strategy, no backtest, no edge. And that's the main issue. It's because you go on YouTube, you search for trading strategy for free, trading strategy, the best trading strategy for 2026, and then you find this kind of shitty content without any added value. It could be also some concepts. I could talk about ICT concept if you want, but today we talk about SMC concept, because in my opinion, SMC concept was like the biggest concept in the past few years. Now people switch to ICT, order for whatever. But SMC concept is quite trendy now again, and that's the reason. It's just a trend. And if you look closely, this is the SMC concept interest rate, right? You can check the interest rate on Google search, and you can see that we still have some, trend. But now let's have a look to commonly searched queries. When people search for SMC concept, usually they not only search for SMC concept, they search for smart money concept, SMC trading, SMC PDF, smart money concept trading. What is SMC? ICT, ICT concept, smart money concept, SMC book, SMC trading strategy. Full bullshit. But on this part, you have the rising queries. It means that more and more and more people are searching for this keywords. Order block. What's order block? What's SMC? What's SMC in trading? SMC trading, smart money concept trading, SMC trading strategy, price action, smart money concept, ICT trading view. Okay, nice. But there is one problem. Do you see any fundamental? I don't see any. And none of those keyword or sentence will allow you to understand what's driving the market. And that's the problem. You start searching for some stupid things before understanding what's driving the price. So let's say you search for SMC concept, and then you search for, I don't know, what's SMC in trading or price action. You will start to understand how the price action works, but you still don't know what's impacting the price action. And this is well more and way more important than just checking the price action. So this is also the reason. And this is, some basic research, statistic. You can do it as well, and you can search what people are looking for on social media, on internet in general. But SMC, ICT, okay, it's nice, but that's the reason of your failure. You still don't know what's driving the market. No one is searching for, okay, institutional trading strategy, strategy that is backtested in the last 5 years. Why the gold is going down? Because of the FOMC decision. What's happening in the Middle East and what the impact on the S&P 500, on the Nasdaq. You don't have any of those. You are just some bullshit, some nonsense. And to be honest, professional trade with data, I already explained that at the beginning, but professionals just don't rely on the price action. They don't give a fuck about it. You trade with opinion and FVG, or pattern, what you want. This is, for example, a trading floor, Barclays, right? You have many people working for Barclays. Okay, traders on the equities part, on the FX part, financial analysts, whatever, right? Okay, this is the same, an hedge fund trading floor, okay? What do you see here? Some chart, yes. What do you see here? Real-time information, economic data, order flow, what you want. But you don't see any SMC concept, ICT concept. And if you go back, okay, this is what people are looking for. So now you start to understand that you're definitely searching for the wrong thing on the internet, and that's one of the main reasons of your failure, okay? So, institutions spend million and million and million every year on research and data, and there is a reason for that. They want to make informed decisions, and this is a financial source. Global spending on financial market data and news reached over 44 billion recently. The largest investment banks, okay, individually spend upward of 500 million annually on data feeds, terminal like Bloomberg, Refinitiv or Prime Terminal, and credit rating. Individual terminal license costs around 25 to 32,000 per seat each year. You start to understand. The game is not rigged. It's because you don't see the bigger picture. You don't really understand how trading works. And now, with just this quick example, you start to understand that the institutions have a bigger advantage than yours. It's because they use real data. They use information. They don't use just the price action, just SMC concept. There is something more complex behind and more professional. Now, your question is probably, okay, that's cool, but I'm not an institution. Why should I use data and research? Well, it's really simple. Huh? This is the percentage of people losing money on the financial market as retail trader on CFD. 74 to 89% lose money for ESMA standard CFD warning. 68% lose money on EG in the UK. 71% lose money on EG international, not only the UK. For CMC market UK, 68% lose money. I don't know if you start to understand, but most people, the majority of people are losing money. And that's exactly why you're part of them. Because people don't really understand what trading is. They don't have any age, they don't have any proven system. They just use some retail marketing stuff. SMC, ICT, okay. But it's a different game, and that's why they're part of the loser. So why should you use data and research? Because of this, you don't want to be part of those losers. You want to make money on the financial market, right? You want to make money. You want to get the freedom you wish since years, and you want to do what you want. Okay, sure. So you don't want to be part of this loser, so don't do the same mistake. I mean, start treating trading like a business, okay? So, now the question is, what's the true path to becoming profitable? Because now you start to understand that there is a different level between institutional trader and you start to understand what you should do to maximize and increase your chance to become profitable? Well, data is the solution. You need data. You need data for everything. Real-time headlines, order flow, bank research. I don't know, every day you read some bank research from JP Morgan, MUFG, Goldman Sachs. You start to understand all institutions think about the market. The COT report, the FX Bank's forecast, the seasonality future, scenario days, economic event calendar, whatever. This is definitely what I use. This is me, and I'm using order flow. Of course, you have the chart. Yeah, this is a price chart. But I'm using all the data, the FX Bank's forecast, the order flow, the order book, okay, position book, the bank research, whatever. But again, data is the solution. If you don't use any data, you're not supposed to trade. Data is important in trading. So, yeah, if I give you a definition of my trading strategy, we can say that I'm a data-driven trader because I don't draw lines. I don't trade trendy concepts. I don't use pattern or shitty concept, okay? I trade a proven system since years. And this is some of my results on the past 2 months. Combining June and July, it's more than 10%, which is definitely good. For July only, plus 4%. Win rate, 100%. But the win rate doesn't really matter here. What matters is the percentage, how much money you make, okay, the P&L, and what strategy you're using, okay? Every day, I ask myself some question, okay? And you can do the same. The first question is something very simple, just some example, right? What's driving the gold? Is the conflict in the Middle East still impacting WTI and Brent crude? Okay, the oil market. What the current pricing for the next Federal Reserve decision? What are JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs recommending? Okay. How did the New Zealand dollar react after the Airbnb decision? How is the bond market reacting to the election of, let's say, Marine Le Pen in France? This is a kind of question institutional traders ask themselves every single day, and this is definitely what I do as well, okay? Now, okay, nice. I have, let's say, 6 questions. This is basic question, right? Now, how should you answer to this question by yourself? Well, let's see. Where do I find the answer? On Prime Terminal. Just use Prime Terminal. And I will show you some example because this is one of my trading templates. You can use the smart bias, the price chart, the real-time headline, the risk sentiment, the yield curve, the FX cross rate. But this is where it gets interesting. My previous question was, what's driving the gold? Okay, what's driving XAU USD? Boom. Inside the real-time headline, I have the answer, gold plus 1%. And I have the full explanation here, okay? And I can see the market impact with the price action. So if now you combine the real-time headline and the chart, you start to understand what's driving the price. And let's say you have the news as soon as possible, you can take a long position because you know what's driving the gold. And it's pushing higher because of a fundamental reason. Start to make sense. This is the first example. Second example, the US-Iran war impact. What the impact on the WTI or the Brent? This is the second question. The question is answered inside the real-time headline. WTI Brent plus 1% plus 1.6%. Oil prices extend on gain as the geopolitical situation in the Middle East continue to escalate, with the 11th consecutive night of actions of US-Iran attack. Blah, 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 blah. I know exactly what's driving the oil market now. And I know that the oil market is still impacted by the US-Iran war, still today. I already answered the second question, very simple. Third question, what the Federal Reserve pricing? I want to understand what we can expect for the next Federal Reserve decision, okay, which is coming in the next few days. Well, it's very simple. Use the interest rate probability inside Prime Terminal. You can see that now the market is pricing a 73% of chance, okay, the probability is about 73%, that the Federal Reserve will keep the rate unchanged. You can see the hold and the hike inside the scenario distribution. So I know that the market already expects the Federal Reserve to keep the rate unchanged. So if, let's say, the Federal Reserve do it, maybe the market reaction will not be that big. However, if they surprise and let's say they hike, okay, they decide to hike by 25 BPS, okay, it's a surprise because the market only priced a 26% probability. You have a gap, the market will start to do what we call a repricing, and it will help the US dollars to strengthen. And then maybe shorting USD could be quite interesting. Going long on USD/JPY as well. Okay? So you know exactly the pricing for any central bank using the interest rate probability on Prime Terminal. So I answered the third question. Now, there is something quite interesting. What are the bank recommendations? And this is the fourth question. Every day, I'm asking a simple question again. What the banks are recommending? Because every day, you know, banks spend hours and hours doing some research. They spend money on research and data, as I said at the beginning. And there is a reason for that. Because they want to understand what's impacting the market. For example, this is MUFG research, okay? And they say, renewed US-Iran conflict, you have the market highlight, okay? And you have some chart. For context, with the ongoing disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, oil flows have been increasingly reliant on the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Analysis. Yeah, sure, we are talking about the oil market mainly on this research. But then you can go deeper if you want to talk only about the inflation. If you want to know what the big banks think about the inflation, read it. This is an inflation-linked focus from the CACIB, okay, the Crédit Agricole, which is a French bank. We know include the 2028 HECP or inflation path, blah, blah, blah. You know the forecast and you have the reasoning. And you can also access to the model and system. So you can read some research about the oil market. If you trade the WTI, the Brent, or even if you trade the gold, some research are mainly about, let's say, some economic data, such as the inflation, the labor market, such as the NFP, for example. Or you can, I don't know, for example, read this bank research from Goldman Sachs, talking about the US credit. And they say that the US credit diverged from stock. Boom. And you have the analysis. So every day, using Prime Terminal, I'm reading bank research to know what the big banks think about the market. Very simple, you can do it as well. So yes, this is real trading. No FVG, no pattern, no shitty concept, no YouTube strategy. Just a proven system I'm using since years because I'm a profitable trader. I know what I'm talking about. I know what's in the market. I'm using real data. And this is definitely what you should focus on. And this is me again. As you can see, I'm using Prime Terminal again with the high and low, the reatomic line, the cross rate, the risk sentiment. Every day, this is what I'm doing. I just only open trading view. I'm not only going on, YouTube searching for the new strategy. I don't care about it because I have a proven system. So why should I jump from one strategy to another one? Doesn't make sense. And I'm profitable, so this is what you have to do as well. Because now you can definitely copy my institutional approach. Because again, let's be clear. Trading is not for everyone. For most people, trading is too complex. Most people will try to make money on the financial market and then they will just give up because it's too complex and they lose money. Simply because they don't have any proven strategy or age. This is some of my student results. For example, you have Adrian over there, who just make crazy money on IUD and ND, especially after the ABNZ decision. Simple. This is one of my other students, French student, okay, since the beginning of this year, 79%. Crazy result. But because of my system, because every day he's asking himself this kind of question. He's using real data and institutional data to make informed decision. And then of course, with the knowledge, he's able to interpret the data and make informed decision and make money. But before that, you have to ask yourself this question. You have to use this data, okay, on Prime Terminal. So crazy result, and you can check everything since January. Really, really, really good. Same for the win rate. 26 trade, only 3 losses. This is some other result. Okay, this is one of my other students who just passed 100K FTMO account. He changed his life forever. Okay, 100K is not that big, but just imagine. Now you're still struggling in trading. It was basically his situation before. You're still struggling in trading. You tried trading for, let's say, the past 2-3 years without being able to make any money. You get the knowledge. You get the proven system. You start to understand what real trading looks like. And then, thanks to your skills, you get funded by one of the top prof in the industry, which is FTO. Really good. And now it's all about the scaling to get more and more capital because now I have a proven system, so I can just attract more capital. Very simple. Same here, some of my other students' results, okay? The net P&L, the win rate, 77%, really nice. The profit factor, the day win, and the average win and loss. Same here with this User of Prime Terminal will just withdraw 10,000 US dollar, not on a shitty broker, EC market. So if you start to use real data, if you start to understand what real trading is, there is a chance that you can become profitable in 2026 or 2027. But again, you need to change your trading now, because if you don't do it, you will just stay in disillusionment or noise. Because again, as I said at the beginning, if you remember, YouTube is full of gurus, YouTube is full of nonsense, YouTube is full of fake strategy, no backtest, no proven system. And that's exactly why you're still stuck today, because you're following the wrong people, because you're always changing your system. You don't have any proven system, so you think that changing again and again and again and again will change the situation. But it doesn't. So again, keep in mind that no age, no money. Okay, no money, no freedom. No freedom. I'm not gonna answer to this one because only you know what's not having freedom costs you. Because now I know that most of you want to get the life they always dream of. You want to get a nice car, you want to travel when you want, you don't want to have any boss anymore. You want to keep your 9 to 5. Okay, that's cool. But again, if you want to be part of those people, okay, of the winner, you have to keep in mind that most people lose money, okay? If we go back, if you remember, most people are losing money. So if you don't want to be part of the loser, you want to treat trading like a business. You want to get a proven system as soon as possible. So if you want to get access to my proven system and learn trading the right way, I put the link in the description. You can apply. I only take 1 or 2 people per month, no more, okay? And I only work with the top profile. So if you think you're the right people, okay, and if you think that you have your chance, you can just apply below. And again, if you want to access to Prime Terminal, okay, to use real data, I put the link in the description again, because with Prime Terminal, you can answer to all those questions. If you want to know what's driving the gold, if you want to know what's driving the NASDAQ now, if you want to know why the US dollar is going up, if you want to know why, let's say, the CAC 40 is going down, few seconds, you have the answer on Prime Terminal. Very simple. So again, thank you again for watching, and this is Real Trading. So don't forget to subscribe.